I've had an
Yeah.
epidural. I've had an unmedicated birth. I've had a C-section.
That makes you such a dynamic doula.
Don't just print off like the Google list of questions to ask your doula.
Yeah.
It's not like a checklist that you need to ask every question. It's more a vibe and a relationship that you want to build.
Good morning, mamas. Today, my guest is Sarah Osborne. She is a doula and she's also a doula mentor. I'm going to let her tell you exactly how long she's been a doula and tell you her story, but she is near to dear to my heart because she is also in my mastermind where I mentor women who have businesses that market to moms or to parents or to people, just people in general. So welcome, Sarah.
Yay, Trish. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me. I've been a doula for 17 years. I have attended over 900 births as a doula, and I had a really successful solo doula business for about 12 years. And then I branched that over into a collective. So now I rotate with 2 other doulas.
And what does that mean to a mom when they hire a doula who's in a collective?
Yeah, well, it depends on the model because every doula collective kind of makes up their own rules and works differently. So I would definitely ask questions if you're hiring like a collective or a team, just so that you know exactly what that entails. For mine specifically, we work as a trio. So like all of our clients, they're hiring like the team of us. They're not assigned a specific doula, but I know some collectives work as like you have your primary doula and then like the rest are backups. So
yeah, because I know if I were coming to your collective, I would want you.
and sometimes people do say that.
Yeah.
And we say, I'm sorry, but
yeah,
I come as a package deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
And did that make your life easier when you did that?
Yeah, I mean, harder in some ways, but overall, yes, I love it. And I would always do this going forward.
Yeah. And so tell me, like, what brought you to being a doula? Was it your own birth experiences?
Partly. So I have 3 kids and I had my first at 18, didn't know what I was doing, but I already was like, loved birth, like my mom's a NICU nurse and I would like read her textbooks and I was like, loved the pregnancy world, babies, newborns, all the things. But I took classes when I was 18 and I wanted to have like an unmedicated hospital birth, but also had no idea what I was doing. Right. He was a preemie. So I had him at 30 weeks and it hurt way more than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I remember when we were leaving our house because I like fully went into labor. I was crying and I was like, I think I need an epidural. But then when we got there, they tried to like slow everything down and that didn't work, but I wasn't allowed to like get out of bed. They actually put me in Trendelenburg and were pumping me with all the magnesium and all the meds, the, terbutaline and all the things. And so that's no way to labor.
No.
Like in bed upside down with like crazy meds.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, epidural sounds great.
Yeah.
So anyways, my second baby, that's when I learned what a doula was and that was actually a job. And I was super intrigued and was, just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was a thing. I totally want to do that. But timing wasn't right. I was young with 2 little kids, but I hired a doula for that birth. I hired a doula in training actually, and it was a great experience. And then my last birth, I didn't have a doula. However, how things unfolded, like knowing what I know now, I would have had a doula for that birth.
Yeah.
Even if like nothing had changed, I still think it would have been helpful. But I was kind of thinking, it's my 3rd baby. I know what I'm doing. My mom's a nurse. She's going to be there. I didn't think it was a need. And he ended up being a cesarean because he was a surprise breech baby who had never been breech until I was in labor.
Little stinker.
I know. And they even did an ECV in labor and it worked. And then he flipped breech again.
Interesting.
So it was a wild story, but yeah, after that, like, so he was 6 weeks old, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a doula now.
And that made all of that though, like we always think like, oh, this thing that happened to me that wasn't great. It's always amazing how that can be used for the good of others because that makes you such a dynamic doula.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
You've done all three.
I've had an
Yeah.
epidural, I've had an unmedicated birth, I've had a C-section. Yes.
Yeah, like that really does give you it just makes you so dynamic. I love that so much. So you've been a doula. Like when I have moms like that are coming to me and they're like, what should I look for in a doula? What would you say is like, what are some important things like that maybe some people don't even talk about?
Right. That's a good question. I would really sit and think about what you want in a doula and don't just print off like the Google list of questions to ask your doula because those really aren't super helpful.
Yeah.
It's not like a checklist that you need to ask every question. It's more a vibe and a relationship that you want to build. So obviously, I would ask her birth philosophy. I would definitely find out, is she trying to project her ideal birth onto you?
Yeah.
Because that's not what you want. You don't want somebody who's going to be judgmental or make you feel like you shouldn't get an epidural if that's what you want, or if that becomes something you need.
Mhm.
Or like if you're having a home birth, you don't want to feel judgment from her if you end up in the hospital. So I think those are good questions. Maybe even asking, why did she become a doula? Because sometimes you'll find the answer to that in her answer to that question. But also I think just getting to know her a little bit, like personally, just kind of like chit
Yeah.
chat a little bit, because
She's
it's
in your
hard
birth
to get
room.
right. And
Yeah.
you want to like her. You want this to be someone that you could be friends with. You want this to be someone who you don't care if, she sees you naked and pooping, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it can be hard to like fit that in a 30 to 45-minute
Yeah.
consult, but it's possible.
So I always tell my students same exact things. And I tell them, if you can, do an in-person interview, like maybe at
Yeah.
a coffee shop, somewhere comfortable, but also watch how they talk about the hospital, the
Mhm.
nurses, the doctors, because we don't want division in your room in any
Right.
way. And I have had some doulas, and I know you know what I'm talking about, but I've had some doulas where I am like the crunchiest labor nurse in the world, right? And I remember specifically, I had an antepartum patient. I was working in California, had an antepartum patient. She was mono twins or di twins, and her water had broken, and we had her for like 8 weeks. Her and I were super close. And her doula comes in and there was just this like air of negativity.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is that I so respect the doula. And I've told you I was Ashley's doula, and I realized I am not built to be a doula. That is not my calling. My calling is a labor nurse. I love birth, but I really like the labor side, like
Yep.
being the labor nurse. But I had to take her out and be like, listen, she has to trust me.
Right.
Like, if it's her life or baby's life that has to be saved, you need me.
Right.
I'm not going to interfere with you. Like, I'm so grateful you're here. Like, and I so
Right.
respect what you're doing. But I always tell my students, like, if you sense like this, like, sense of division and like us against them, you don't want that coming from anyone in your room,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
1,000%. Yes. I could not agree more. And I think sometimes you could ask questions like, how do you feel about me getting an
Yeah.
epidural? Like, even if that's not what you want, ask her some of those questions. Like, how do you feel about Pitocin? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes doulas, especially if they're really new, they can learn some of that negativity, like what you're talking about, or like really strong opinions one way or the other. It doesn't,
Yeah.
sometimes it comes from what they're consuming on social media, and they're just like copy and pasting that. I've
Yeah.
also heard from doulas who were like, oh, well, I learned in my training, and we don't know who trained this doula. Like,
Yeah.
it could have been somebody that was very anti-hospital, who is like planting these seeds in their
Yeah.
minds, and maybe they just don't realize it or know it. And when I
It's like
mentor
an
doulas,
unlearning. Yeah.
yeah, I tell them, like, I will tell them things, and then they'll be like, oh, well, that's weird because in my training they said blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I mean, that's kind of a one way,
Yeah.
I'm non-judgmental. Like
Yeah.
there are tools and we need them sometimes and then they are helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
say the same thing to my ladies and my courses. Like, the reason I started Labor Nurse Mama was because I was sick of seeing women coerced in someone else's plan. Like, this is what I want for your birth. It should be
Right.
about what she wants for her birth.
Yes.
And none of us should be pushing our own agenda on her.
Yeah,
For
sure.
So if
Yep.
my students want to be induced, now if they want to be induced and their bishop score is like 2, I'm going to be like, hey, listen, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
But ultimately we're going to support whatever decision they make, because I don't want to play a part of that system that is pushing someone.
Right.
Yeah. So
I agree. And sometimes they don't know this, those doulas, especially if they're newer, but they could be telling you to say no to something that's actually going to help you have a vaginal birth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like they think that they're helping avoid something, but actually it's not helpful. So
yeah. Well, and that's where, for you moms that are listening, this is why it's really important that you are educated. This is really important that you choose wisely everyone who's allowed to be a part of your birth. Because if you trust your provider and you trust your nurse, and I teach them how to fire their labor nurse as well. But if they trust them, then when they do need those things and they trust that their doctor is only going to present these things when they're really needed, then listen to the wisdom of your doctor, listen to the wisdom of your nurse. Like, that's where it's really important. And that's why I like, it's really hard when everybody is not on the same team. It feels like it's us against them,
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Because it's the same with breaking water. I tell them, don't let them break your water unless you're in active labor. However, there are times where it might be the right choice. And you and I know that. And it's really hard to define that. But if you trust your provider and they know what you want, when they say, I know you didn't really want me to break your water, and I totally respect that, but here's from my years of experience, like in this specific situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's hard about birth, is that there isn't black and white answers. It's all gray. It's all gray.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I always tell them. That's why I say it's a birth map, not a birth plan. And it's like, if you won a vacation or you're going on a luxury vacation, you wouldn't just throw the map out. You would find a different way to get there.
Right. Yes.
And we have to pivot all the time in birth. Okay, so let's talk about what is the most amazing birth experience. Like, when you think of all the birth, do you have one that stands out that and not a negative one, because we all know that the negative ones are hard.
I mean, I do have a really great one. It's kind of shocking. I mean,
if you're pregnant and feeling overwhelmed, unsure about what really matters for birth, or hoping it all just goes well, this is for you. Most parents don't realize that it isn't effort, it's preparation that actually builds confidence. The Calm Birth Bundle closes that gap. It walks you through labor, birth, and your options in a clear, calming way. So you're not guessing in the moment or relying on someone else to decide for you. The goal isn't a perfect birth. It's a confident one. Right now, as a podcast listener, you can take $50 off with the code POD50. Go to labornursemama.com/calm, CALM. Get prepared, feel grounded, and go into your birth knowing you've done your part. Hey doulas, if you've done the trainings but you still feel unsure in real life scenarios, this is for you. The Doula Skills Lab is a 5-day challenge designed to build real confidence through practical, hands-on skills, not more theory. You'll practice responding to real situations, strengthen how you speak about your work, and finally feel solid in your role as a doula. If you're ready to stop second guessing and start showing up with certainty, head to theexpertdoula.com/skills-lab and join the challenge. theexpertdoula.com/skills-lab. Join it now.
I'm sure I have multiple.
I want to hear it.
This is the one that just came to mind. And actually, it was a home birth. It was her first baby, and she was like prodromal labor, but kind of early labor for like 5 days, like nonstop, like couldn't sleep every
Oh
night
my gosh,
for
bless her
like
heart.
it was rough, right? And her midwife came over like every day or every other day and would check her, and she's like, 1 or 2 centimeters, like
Yeah.
just minimal. And we did tons of positioning to try and get her babies, we did tons of spinning baby stuff and just all the things that we could think of. And it just went on for day after day after day after day. So she's exhausted. And then finally, one early morning, she like fully goes into actually like turned into active labor. And then things went very fast. So like from 3 to 10 centimeters. So like, early labor was like 5 days. And then she had like a very fast harder labor,
Yeah.
like a couple of hours. And I rushed over there, and she's like pushy, and she's in her birth tub and all of this. And starts pushing. She ended up, I'll just shorten this. She ended up pushing for about 7 hours.
Holy moly. She's my hero.
And she had a baby at home in her bed, and it was direct OP, but like
Which is why she had 5 days of
oh,
prodromal.
yeah. And her baby was so low. Like I remember her midwife telling us, because I mean, even when we were doing all those positions, I don't think her baby could turn because the baby was,
It
I mean,
was so low.
It was like +1 or something, like not in labor.
I
and I think it was
feel
just so
bad for
locked
her.
in. It was rough. It was so rough. And she did it. And like the victory of that was just so amazing. But this baby's head molding was just, I mean,
Like
I have a
Conehead.
picture. I'm going to have to show it to you. It's
Yeah, you
crazy.
need to send it to us. If she doesn't care, we'll put it,
Yeah,
put it in the episode.
Yeah, she's fine with me sharing. So
okay, so let's break apart a little bit as these moms are listening. So this is why positioning during pregnancy is so important. And that is one of the reasons why we created we have a full positioning class on while you're pregnant, your posture. Like who knew? Back when we had our older kids, nobody knew half this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like we didn't know all this. Like
right. No, we didn't know it at all. Even when I was a new doula 17 years ago, it wasn't as popular.
Yeah. No, like we didn't have social media for one. So we didn't know anything really. I don't know how we actually survived life, but there's a couple of things for you guys listening that is good to know for having education, but also for understanding that she pushed for 7 hours. Like they're never going to let you do that in the hospital, but baby came out good. She came out good. And I feel like when it comes, so you've got the doctor you're going to fight about pushing long, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of times most moms are like over it. And that is why I say this all the time. The numbers are so skewed when it comes to C-section rates because no one factors in mom's exhaustion and she chose it. Like, did she really need it? Was it really failure to progress? Was it the doctor bullying her into it? Or was it just like, I can't do this? And we respect that, obviously. Like, that's a long time to push. Mm-hmm. But she did it.
Absolutely. And the thing that I kept thinking was like, this midwife was very hands-on. I mean, like really helping to like, stretch things and get this, because that's what was needed to get this baby out. And so many doulas or even midwives are like anti. Yeah, which there's a time and place for that. But like, had that midwife not have recognized that that's what needed to happen, or if I as the doula was like, she shouldn't be doing that, this baby would not have come out vaginally, Yeah. So there's always like a time and a place. So anytime I see somebody that's like, this should never happen, I'm like, well, that's not, you can't say never in birth.
Yeah. Well, you know how I tell you guys inside the mastermind that you should have some mantras and things that you repeat on repeat. One of my things is we can refuse everything, but should we? Like you can refuse all of it. But if you don't understand when and what and why, then you're just refusing to refuse. And that's not wisdom. Because thank God someone invented forceps. Thank God someone invented a vacuum. Thank God we have C-sections, because they're needed when they're needed. It's when
Right.
they're used just out of, I also say nothing out of convenience or curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you said that, because it's so important to know that all of these things that a lot of us online that are like, don't do this and don't do that, you have to know that all of them have a time and a place,
Right.
so there is a time and a place where you need the intervention.
Yep.
And you want it, honestly. Like, as I tell my students, like, you may say, I will never do a vacuum. But if your baby is down in the 40s and the baby's right there at the perineum and the doctor only has to apply one suction, you're going to say yes to a suction instead, or a vacuum, instead of going back.
Right.
And thank God we have that,
Yeah.
So like I'm so glad that came up, because I think that even in my own account, like, I do say it, but I may not say it enough. Like, I say, don't let them break your water, but there's varying degrees of that. Like, there's situations for that.
Yes.
So speaking of, we're going to discuss something, because last night when I could not sleep, I was scrolling Facebook, which I never do. Because, you guys, as big of my social media accounts I have, I am not a social media user. But last night I was scrolling and I saw that you posted about someone misconstruing birth pictures.
Yes.
And I screenshot it and I liked it, because that is so powerful, how those of us who are educating online, if we're just doing it to get the vanity metrics and to go viral at the cost of what we're against, it's not okay.
Right. Yeah.
So I just want to say I was proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. I know. I mean, me and my doula partners have had that discussion, because this, very well-known person has wanted to share our photos before. And some of them we have allowed, but usually we'll ask a question like,
what is it going to be used for?
Yeah. Or, what are you going to say about it? And she won't answer half the time. And then it's just a no. Like, so.
Because she knows that controversy goes viral.
Correct. That she's all about shock factor.
Yeah.
Which I get, but there's like real people and real families behind those photos, and we are trying to protect their, we don't want some stranger out in the birth world like tainting her view or her birth experience.
Yeah.
Putting like negative thoughts.
Right. Even if it's not negative about that birth mom, if it's about that picture or what's being done in the picture or what's happening, that plants a seed of negativity in her in a moment that's supposed to be like, that is sacred.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because if she comes across that, instead of her maybe feeling like super proud that she had this great birth, maybe now she's like, oh, well, maybe that shouldn't have happened like that. Or like, oh, I didn't think about, it's just yucky.
Yeah. So I was really proud of you. I was like, that's one of my clients. That's my girl right there. Because it takes a lot of balls, honestly, to stand up to someone who has 1 million followers.
Right.
But they need to be checked sometimes,
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of you, because there's probably some of these moms who are like even questioning, should I be feeling this way about it? And maybe even other birth workers.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing about social media. And even though I mentor you guys and teach you guys how to grow, and polarizing content and shock factor does work, but it should be along with your integrity.
Yeah.
So even though I teach you guys social media, I say all the time, like, going viral isn't the point. It does hit a dopamine like factor, because it feels good. But if you're not sticking to like your core promises and your integrity, so like, we never post about like circumcision, vaccinations, even though they go viral.
Right.
But now inside my community, I'll share how I feel about all those things with my students. If they ask me, I'll share what I did, what I feel about it. But like, do you really have to use topics that create negativity? Like, I just am not in alignment with that.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
yeah.
anyway,
And
we're on the same page.
those are the two things that we don't really cover with clients either is like circumcision and vaccines, or like in my
Yeah.
childbirth classes, I'm like,
Yeah.
that like
No.
you can do your own research.
Right. Do your
And
due diligence and decide
that,
what's for you. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell my students too that, because one of the first things that I do when they join, if they join the full classes, they get the membership for free for 30 days. And one of the first things they have to agree to is no mom shaming, because
Right.
we all have to make the decisions we have to make for
Right.
we're responsible for them. We live with the consequences. Same thing I tell my kids. Like, I've had my kids be like, I can't believe you're doing that. Like, so and so's parents don't do that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm your parent.
Right.
And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. But right now, I feel like this is the best decision. So deal with it,
Right.
And I think the same with everyone on their parenting journey. Like, no one should be forcing their own agenda. Like, we all have to do our own research, and now, obviously, if it's something that's directly harming a child, that's different. But when it comes to these decisions, well, I love you so much. You know that. And I'm so happy that you came on today. Can you tell everyone where they can find you? And also, what's your favorite birth book? I want to hear.
That's a good question.
Do you have one favorite?
I am totally not a reader.
Oh,
I will say
see,
that.
I am
okay. Like,
what about Audible?
I mean, I do love like Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. I think that
Yeah.
that's just a classic good one.
Yeah.
That I think everybody can benefit from reading. And it's pretty easy because the first half of it's just like birth stories.
Yeah, which is really fun.
Yeah. And then I really also love, oh my gosh, it's The Birth Partner.
Oh, I have that one.
Yeah.
I have that too.
I think it's just like, it
it's an
goes
old
over
school
all
one,
the
right?
things. Yeah, it's old, but it was like it's one of Penny Simpson's books, and I love her. So
confession, when I read Ina May's, it was when I was a very new labor nurse, and I was like, this is
it's a little out there.
Shit I have ever read in my life, like the whole orgasmic thing, and like I was making out during birth. Like, I would have died first than to make out during birth. Like, I mean, understand the oxytocin. Yeah,
right. Some of her books are more out there than others.
Yeah,
I think the Guide to Childbirth one is. I haven't read all of her books. I've heard though that some of them.
Yeah, some of them I've read some of them, and they get really wackadoodle
out there.
But I mean, she came from Berkeley, down on Haight Street, came on, in a caravan of school buses.
Right.
But what I love about her, because the farm is right near me.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that, Trish. I thought about
we should have went there.
Maybe we'll need to do that. I've thought about taking. There was a while ago, she was doing like classes there, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go.
Yeah. So when I was pregnant with Grayson, I was like, I'm going to deliver at the farm, because they have like it's not luxury, but it's a pretty nice cabin. Yeah. And I was going to do it, but then I ended up on blood thinners, and so they wouldn't deliver me there. Yeah. But they are right here. But where the last hospital that I worked before I stopped working because of labor nurse mama was, we got their patients. If they converted to the hospital, they would come to ours. And yeah. So very interesting. But
for sure.
I would have loved to. I've actually thought about volunteering there.
Yeah, you should. That'd be such a cool experience.
I know. I miss birth so much. I just don't have much time.
Right.
So it's like, but anyway.
Right.
Well, tell everyone where they can find you, and just really quickly tell, if you're a doula listening, Sarah is the doula mentor you want. So tell them about where mamas can find you, where the doulas can find you, and tell us a little bit about your doula mentorship.
Yeah. So you can find me on socials. It's at The Expert Doula. There's a little dot in between. So the.expert.doula. And then that is also my website, theexpertdoula.com. And then if you want to follow my collective, that's the Birth Collective, PNW for Pacific Northwest. That's our website. That's our social media handle. And then, yes, I do mentor doulas, a lot of new doulas, but also doulas who've been a doula for a year or two and are just kind of still trying to figure things out. If you're like local to Tacoma, Seattle area, I can do one-on-one mentorship where we're like working in person and sharing a client, but mostly I'm doing virtual mentorship. I have like a monthly membership, and that's where we have like, it's similar to what you do a little bit, but obviously mine's geared towards doulas. So we have like weekly live calls and an app that like covers all the questions and the handouts and all the things that you might need, and you get access to me and one-on-one private.
Which is the most valuable part of that.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I do like trainings and all the things.
And it's really good pricing. Like,
yeah, it is.
Tell everybody how much it is in case they're a doula.
$77 a month.
That is so worth it, because if you think of the ROI that they get by learning how to sign clients, learning how to nurture these clients, which we both know the word of mouth and the clients referring you is where the money's at for your doula business. And there's nothing like that. So for those of you who are moms who are listening, like, make sure you review your doula. Make sure you share your doula's name if you loved her, obviously.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
and
don't.
If you didn't, write a review too.
Yeah, because people need to know that. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Sarah.
Thank you.
All right, Mama, if you are a mom, a birth worker, or just someone who felt fire from this conversation with Sarah Osborne, take it as your sign. The world needs more women who trust their voice, their purpose, and their ability to create change in the birth space. If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe. Share it with your doula bestie or a mom who needs to learn a little bit more about hiring a doula. And please leave a review. Please, please, please. It helps us, it helps mamas, and it helps other birth workers. If you want more, head to labornursemama.com/calm for our full birth course. I love you guys so much, and I'm so happy you're here. I'm honored that you hang out with me on Friday mornings. And as always, I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.